So what are macros? What are the macronutrients? We hear this word all the time. We should be tracking our macros. So macros is just the short word for macronutrients, and that's just like the first primary component of the foods that we eat. So for example, protein, our carbs, and our fats. So what is it important that we need to balance these macros? The importance of balancing our macros is that we have a good ratio so our body is functioning at its best. So each macronutrient is responsible for something in our body. So for example, the protein are the building blocks to build muscle, to repair tissue. So those, the foods that have protein, so your meats, your eggs, your Greek yogurts, all that's important so you can have the ability to build muscle. Your carbs are the source of energy. So foods that you get from rice, oats, potato, starch vegetables, fruits, those are easily source of energy that your body needs for it to again function properly. Fats, the foods that come from the sources such as olive oil, avocado, peanut butter, nuts, foods that are high in fat. What are the fats good for? They are important for, they're also important for energy source, but they also regulate your hormones. So it is an important nutrient for us to have. So it's important for us to understand that each macronutrient has its function in our body. So if we are over consuming one way more than the other, that's going to cause an imbalance, right? And a lot of times what I see with women is that they are over consuming in carbohydrates and fats. And what happens with that is, it's that fats, each macronutrient has its thermic effect of food, and it has its calories. So no food is free. So if you eat a carb, for example, for each gram of carb, there are 4 calories. So you have to do the math. And the same thing is for protein. So protein and carbs have the same amount of calories, 4 calories per gram. As opposed to fats, fats is something that's more calorie dense. So in each gram of fat, there are 9 calories. So it's more than double than carbs and protein. So when you combine fats and carbs, you're going to have a more calorie dense food. As opposed, if you have something that's protein and carb, it's going to be less calories. You can have all of them, but you just have to be careful with the portions. The way that you're going to lay out your macronutrients is going to depend on your goals. But majority of the time, the women that I work with, especially coming from the point that we are trying to drive here, that women are under consuming protein, it seems to be the trend. Unfortunately, it's really alarming to see how the women that I've been talking to, they have been under consuming their protein more than 60%. It's crazy. So if you think that about that, just that imbalance alone, it's a micronutrient that's definitely essential for us. And a lot of times you might not be realizing why you feel like you're getting really flax, like that your skin is getting saggy and whatnot. You think it is because you're losing collagen. But it's not. It's because you are lacking that ability so your body can build that tissue, right? We want to build lean tissue. We want to have lean muscle mass. We don't want to have less. We want to have more of that. You will not look like a bodybuilder. When I say build muscle, I'm just saying for you to fill in, because we will lose muscle. We don't want that. So that's why it's important for you to have in your macronutrients a good balance so your body can function properly. Your body can feel you well. It's the form of feel for you to be able to run just like a car, right? You're not going to put you're not going to put water in your car if your car needs gas for it in order to function properly. So that's why the macronutrients, it's important for us to have that balance. So you have all the building blocks and all the building parts there for you to function. How am I supposed to know what I should be eating for your macros? That's where we calculate it accordingly to the way that you burn your calories. So your activity level, if you are someone who's active and whatnot. And so we measure the calories that you spend, and then we calculate that accordingly to the macros that you actually are taking in. So we have, depending on your goal, if you are someone who wants to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. So therefore, we need to calculate the macros that's going to put you in a deficit according to the calories that you are burning and that you are taking in. I hope that that made sense. So that's how we calculate our macros. First, figure it out. Are you an active person or whatnot? We calculate by your height and obviously your age and everything else. You're a female or a male. We calculated, there's a formula that we calculate that and what should be your average weight for your height and whatnot. And how do we calculate that according to our calories? Obviously, it's going to be somewhat of a guesstimated in the beginning by, you can't be exact unless if you put yourself in a machine, but we are going to figure that out because majority of the time we underestimate the way that we actually, sometimes we underestimate what we eat, right? And we overestimate what we burn. So that's why we have to be, in the beginning, it is a try or error. And I always try to shoot for more calories than what I would have, just because I don't want to cut yourself short and say, oh, you know what, let's start with just this amount of macros and let's balance you over here. And then we don't have a lot to take away from. So I always try to find your macros in a way that's conservative so we can set it up from there. The rule of thumb for me, again, because I am from a high protein standpoint, I like to aim for a 40% protein, and then you divide the remaining 60% between your carbs and your fats. So 30% carbs, 30% fats, or if you want to do a 30% protein and then 40% carbs and then 30% fats as well, you can do that. You can do that as well. It depends on you. It depends on your goal and how you feel as well. So I hope that's helpful. Obviously, we're going to go into more detail, but that's how you calculate your macros.